Hello and welcome to this new tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how can we detect specific shapes and how we can sort them according to their size. So let us get started. I configured a project using Emgu CV 4.2. You can check one of my previous tutorials how can we configure it. So let me add a menu item here and call it process, and inside it process I can write find contours and sort, for example. So I will find the contours, and using those contours we will find the shapes, let's say triangles, rectangles, or whatever, and we want to sort them according to their area or their size. So let us see, double click on it, and I will just make sure that if there is an exception it should not crash my application, so I can show a message box in case of any exception. So the first thing that I want to do here is to make sure that my picture box is not null. So there should be some picture. So picture, if it is equal to null, then I will return. Otherwise I will continue. So the first thing that I will do is to read the picture from my picture box into my img variable. So I can create a new bitmap and and a picture box one dot image. And since I need to do some processing with Emgu, so I am going to convert it into to image, and it should be a BGR image and byte. Okay, so this is how I read the image from my picture box into img variable. Once I read the image, I need to do some processing. So the image that I'm going to process is this image, so which is basically consists of different rectangles, squares, circles, triangles, hexagons, and stuff. And since these are in black color, I want to apply a threshold algorithm, and I want to make them white. So and then I will try to find out which are the circles and then sort them according to their size. Okay, so the first thing I will do is maybe I want to get a gray image. So img.convert, I just need to convert it into a gray image with the depth is the same as byte. And now I can threshold this value, threshold binary inverse, and the minimum threshold. So if this value is greater than threshold, then it will be equal to 0. So this is the new threshold, that's 240. If it is greater than that, it will be 0. Otherwise, that we want to keep it is new 255. Okay, and then this is what we did, the inverse thresholding. So the values less than this were set to 0, and the rest values will be set to 255. This is what we want to be white. So once we have these images, what can we do is, let me show in the picture box box.image is equal to gray. This is what I want to do or not. So to bitmap. Okay, so let us quickly run it and see if it is giving me what exactly I want or not. So let me open that image. So the name of that image is objects, and inside find. Okay, that's what I want, because whenever we are processing, the thing that we are going to process should be in the white color. So that's what I want. So I get these objects now. Now I will try to find out specific objects, what type of objects those are. Okay, so of course we need to calculate the contours for it, and then on those contours we will be able to distinguish which is rectangle, which is square, which is triangle stuff. So to do that, we actually need vector of points to store the contours. So I just call it contours equal to new vector of contours, and we also need to store the hierarchy, although I'm not using it. Somehow I need to create this object because find contour needs that parameter. So now I am applying the find contours method. So this is the gray image from where I'm going to find the contours, and these are the contours where it will write my contours, and it will keep the information of hierarchy here. And the retrieval type that I want is just the external controls I'm interested in, and the chain approximation method that I'm using is the simple one. It means that not all the contours are important for me. Maybe I can push it into the next line. Not all contours are important. Only, for example, in a rectangle I need the corners only, so that's why I set it to simple, and I don't have any offset information, so just keep as it is. So these are the contours which I received in contours. And now one thing I need to do is loop through all these contours and find out, for example, if I'm interested in finding the triangles, then I will approximate those contours and see if I have some three corners or not. So if I have, after approximating these contours, and if I get three corners, then I believe that this is a triangle, sorry. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to loop through all these contours and try to find out which are the triangles. For example, let me try with the triangles. So let me run a loop for integer I is equal to 0 to contours.size, and the first thing that I want to calculate in order to approximate it using its length is, let me set the double perimeter. I need to find out the perimeter of the contour, and we can calculate the perimeter by calling this arc length function. What is the total arc length of my contour? So I can say contours ith contour that I want to find out, and is it closed, and I hope it should be a closed contour. Okay, so once I get the parameter, and using this parameter I want to approximate it, and so what I need to do, CV invoke dot, what we call it, approximate poly dp function. So which contour you want to approximate is the ith contour, so contour I. And this contour, it also requires an approximate contour, so let me create a vector of points here to store that approximated contour, maybe outside it. So vector of points. So this is approximated contour to keep the approximated contour outside. So let me give it as a parameter, approximated contour. And what should be the precision? This is important. Let's say I want to find the 4% of the total length of the perimeter. So only those points will be considered, only 4% of the points of the total area or the total perimeter of the contour, and I assume that it is a closed contour. So essentially this will give me only few points that I'm interested. So in case of triangle, out of the total length, if we select only the 4%, so we assume that it should give us exactly 3 points. And now this one will help us to identify if it is a contour, if it is a triangle or not. So we can apply a condition like, if the approx dot size is equals 3, then we can say that there are these are the triangles, or we have this is considered to be triangle, and if it is equal to 4, then we can consider them according to the corners a rectangle, and if it is more than that, we can have, if it is 6, then we can say hexagon. We will see it in a little bit, but my concern here, this is enough to distinguish which type of shape is it, but I also want to sort it. So I will show the biggest contour with number 1, for example, and the next one is 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. So to do that, maybe I can create a dictionary. Inside the dictionary, I can store all the, for example, all the shapes that I'm interested in. So why I am doing the dictionary, I will tell you in a bit. So this dictionary basically stores 2 values. So one that I want is the index, that is, I want to store the contour ID. Every contour has an ID, so inside the dictionary I want to keep the ID of that contour, plus in order to sort it I need some double area. So based on the area I want to sort it, so that's why I created a dictionary which basically requires a key and a value pair. So key will be my contour ID and this will be the area, so I will be able to sort my shapes according to this area. So that's more suitable for me. So I just call it, for example, shapes, for example, is equal to new. I want to create an object of that. So I want to store the shapes in this dictionary. So again, I am telling you why I set it integer, so that I will keep the ID of my contour, and this double is to store the area, because I want to what I need to do is to sort the shapes based on area. So before using it, maybe I should also clear the approximate.clear, because I should not I do not want to, I want to make sure that there is nothing in the approximate before using it. Okay, so the one more thing, since I want to sort it according to areas, what I can do is I can find the area, and to find the area of any contour we can use this method, contour area method, and inside this we can pass a contours of I. So for this contour I want to calculate the area, so it will give me the area of the contour, and if its shape is equal to 3, it means I am interested in finding the triangles and I want to add into my shape. So I want to add the triangles. I want to only find the triangles and add them into my shape. So let me put it like this, shapes dot add, and here is what it is asking for, an integer key. So this will be my integer I, so which is the current ID of my contour, and the area which I have just calculated, I write it like areas, it doesn't matter. So let me make sure it is area. I have just one area for one contour. Okay, so I get the area for that triangle. I'm looking for 3 corners and I add it into the shape, and I believe that after running the contours, the loop through on all the contours, I will be able to find all the triangle shapes. So once I have all the triangle shapes, what I can do is I will make sure that my shapes dot size, or whatever, I could say something like this, dot count actually is greater than 0, so I have at least something in my shapes. Then I can easily sort my dictionary. So sort according to my area. What I can do is, it's quite simple, and I can use this link query to sort it. For example, variable sorted shapes is equal to according to area. I can use this link QD if you are not aware of it, I don't know. From item in shapes, it can be made very short also, but I'm just using order by clause item dot. I want to order it based on its value. Remember that in my value it is the area, and I want to sort it maybe in ascending order, or if you want you can check with the descending order also, and I want to select the item. And more interestingly, this will just sort it, and I want to convert it into a to list. Okay, so that I will, now this is a list of my sorted contours in the ascending order. So the smallest one will be the first, and then so on and so forth. Now once I have the contours sorted based on their value, that is their area, I mean the size you can say, then I can now maybe display something on their center. For example, maybe I can display the smallest contour and display a number like 1, and then next one 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So I want to display a number on there, for example the centroid. So let me try to find the centroid of that shape and display their number, for example 1 2 3 4 5 or something. So let me run a for loop. I is equal to 1 to sorted shapes dot count. So what I want to do right here is to draw that contour. CV invoke dot, I will use draw contours function, and I want to draw it on the original image img, and these are the contours are in my contours, and which contour I want to draw is the contour that is present in my sorted shapes. So I just would say sorted shapes dot the sorted shapes of I dot, and remember that the value contains the area and the key contains the IDs of my contours. So I will use that key as ID. So I'm drawing that contour which is present in my sorted shapes, and now maybe I will give a color for it. So the color, maybe if it is white, maybe we can select 0 0 and do 55. I want to give it a red color, and I just want a thickness of 2, for example. So this will essentially draw a boundary around the contour of my triangle. And once I draw the triangle, now I want to number them according to their size. So the first one should give I given number 1, and I want to display it, for example, in their center, or for example. So I will find the centroid of that shape, and to find the centroid of that shape, the best thing is to use the moments. So we can find the cvinvoke.moments function to give us different moments for the contours. So I'm just taking the contours, and here what contours that I'm going to get is we need the index. So the index is already, as I mentioned, that this is the contours whose ID is present in my as my key, and I just want to find out the moments for that contour. So specific contour, and their ID is in my this key. And once I have the contours, I can find the x component of my centroid. So I need to cast it into an integer, so I'm just using, so we use the 1th and 0th moments to find out the centroid. So this is what we call it, m10 divided by moments dot m00. So this one will give us the coordinate, x coordinate of the centroid, and then if we divide this 0 1 by the 0th moment, then this one will essentially give us the y component of the centroid. Once we have the centroid, and then we can display a text on that x and y location. So that's why I just calculated the centroid. So put text, we use this put text, and I want to put text on my image, and what the text I want to display is basically the index I plus 1, because index started with 0 dot to string, and just I want to display according to their sorting 1 2 3 4. So that indicates that 1 is the smallest, 2 3 4, and so on and so forth. And this is the text, and now this is the location where we want to display it. So I will say x and y at the centroid, and the next parameter that we can say is the font face, whichever font face you want to use, maybe simplex, Hershey triplex, let's say, and the font scale 1.5. Let me select something like this. And next thing is we need to select a color for whatever we have selected, and we can select any color that you want. For example, I want red color, it's more prominent, for example. And what should be the thickness? Let's say the thickness is 2, and that's it. And this, so far I believe that it must have displayed the text. And then the last thing that I want to do is, yes, I have already done it, but I want to show my picture. So let us run the results, and I will have a comment on this code again if it is working. And the file open, I'm just going to open the same image, the object's image, and I want to find contours. And now you can see that it has sorted the contours. This, it believes that this is the smallest one, and then next one, and then next, and the fourth one. Or if you want to do it in a ascending order, for example, a descending order, the biggest it should be the first, and then second, then third, and fourth, then just only thing that you need to do a change is the place where I have done the sorting. Where I have done sorting, instead of ascending, you can change it into the descending order. And now if you click on that, and if you try to find out the triangles and sort them, then you just find the contours. And now you can see that this is the first according to size, according to area. This is the second, third, and the fourth one. If you want, you can also display the area. Actually, what is the area, if you want to be sure that what was the area. Let me make it like 0, and to put that area, cv invoke dot put text again, and this time on the img again, and here the string that I want is the area. So we have the area already in the sorted shapes. So sorted shapes and dot ith dot the value that I just want to display, dot toString, to make sure that it is a text. And again, the point will be the same, all other things will be same. So I'm just copying here till here. Okay, and to make sure that my text, area, and the number are not overlaid on each other, so I'm just subtracting some value here, let's say minus 30, to make sure that the area is displayed quite above the number that I have shown. So let us run again, find, open it, and oh my goodness, I selected my previously used image. So here is the image I'm interested in. Now you can see that it is about 8,800. This is 3,700, 3,036, 1,936. So according to the area, it is able to sort it. So this is how we detect the triangles and number them according to their size, whether descending or ascending. Now, what if I am interested in a rectangle? So the only thing that you will guess rightly, I hope, is that if it is a triangle, or sorry, it is a rectangle or a square sort of shape, then it should at least give me 4 corners. And let's run it, and the rest of things you don't need to change it. So let us run this and see. I hope it will detect the rectangles and sort them according to their size. So now you can see this one is the biggest rectangle, and then second one, third one is this, fourth, and this is the smallest, for example. One more thing that you can do is, if you have the contours and if you want to find the difference between square and a rectangle, then we can also find the bounding box of these shapes, and then we can compare the length and the width differences. If it is greater or not equal, then we can call it a rectangle, otherwise we can call it a square, for example. I hope you can try it. And for hexagon, essentially there should be 6 corners. So I hope it detects the hexagon also. And let me select the shape again. And then now if I say find contours, you can see that there is only one hexagon and its area is like this. And if you want this to be circle, then I can say if it is greater than, if I believe that there is no octagon or something in my image, so then if it is greater than 6, I say it is a circle, for example. We have circles also, so let me run it and then process it. So you can see that it is finding out those circles, and also it is sorting them according to their area. So 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. And also you can do the same thing in the ascending order. Doesn't matter for it. The code is generic. The only thing is that what you want, which shape you want, it's important, and then you can do it yourself. So in this case, if you look these shapes and if you do the try contours, now you can see that this is the smallest, and it's numbering. The numbering means it is sorting in this way. This is the smallest, second. I hope it will be useful for you too, and hope to see you in another video.